Hello, everybody. Welcome into Backseat Drivers. I'm Alex Weaver here in Studio 3, joined by Chase from NASCAR.com, as well as Jesse from NASCAR International. Guys, we saw Martin Truex Jr. He's the road course master. He's the Sonoma master. I don't know if anybody's going to challenge him at that course. He gets the win. Him and Kyle Busch have kind of created a little bit of this rival talk on the track. Do we think that it's just Kyle Busch not liking that somebody else won, or do we honestly think that him and Truex could end up or already are rivals?
I think you hit the nail on the head with your first comment. It's friendly right now. It's a friendly rivalry, but I think Kyle is going to keep getting a little more frustrated if Truex keeps going to victory lane. I don't care if it's a teammate or not. If Kyle Busch's mom finishes ahead of him, Kyle's going to hate them. It doesn't matter who it is.
Bunch of idiots is what he called everybody.
Yeah, I don't think he'd call his mom an idiot, but yeah. So if one idiot's going to finish ahead of him, he's not going to like it. And I think we sensed a little frustration. Like he's like, yeah, it's good for the company, but Kyle Busch, he's a winner. He wants to win. We've
seen them kind of be rivals on and off the track since 2004, going back to that Xfinity Championship. Now they're teammates. So Jesse, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I agree with Chase in the sense that it's definitely friendly. I don't know that right now I would go so far as to call it a rivalry, a full-blown rivalry at least. They are teammates. They have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. And if you want to look statistically speaking, this season they have the same amount of wins. They had the same amount of cup championships. I think right now they look at each other as like motivating factors on the team for JGR. Who's going to be the best? That might change come playoff time because, like you said, Kyle Busch wants to win. But as of right now, I think it's more of a friendly, motivating rivalry to get them on the road to Homestead.
Now, giving those closing laps at Sonoma, we kind of saw Kyle Busch had the fresher tires, and then they started to kind of become even, him and Truex. Let's say we had 10 more laps at Sonoma. Do we think that it's a different story and that Martin Truex didn't have a second-and-a-half lead?
I think Truex, he had in the bag because even though Kyle Busch had the fresher tires, I think we saw Truex's road course prowess with the fact that he was able to manage what he had left in his car with his tires and make the most of it. Especially, he had a lot of lap traffic to deal with. I know Kyle Busch had to deal with the same lap traffic, but with those fresher tires, could he have gotten up there? I don't think so because Truex is so good, especially at Sonoma.
Well, and we said it right off the bat. You said it. Truex is the road course master. I mean, it was obvious in the way that he was able to manage those turns just that much tighter than Kyle Busch was. And even on the last lap, he still had over a second-and-a-half lead on Busch. So if we had 10 more laps, I think he probably could have closed in that lead. But I truly believe that Martin Truex Jr. is a better road course racer and earned that win.
I will say this, the fact that if Truex would have slipped up just a little bit.
Okay, but here's my point. I don't know if Truex at Sonoma is going to be the driver that slips up. Say you have a young gun up front and they see Kyle Busch in the rear view and it's like, oh, here comes that M&M's car and I have to make every single turn correct, go through the S's as perfectly as I can. But I feel like Truex does that every lap almost.
That's where that motivating factor comes in. He doesn't see it as intimidation. He sees it as motivation.
Yeah.
And that's a good point, but if Truex would have slipped up once, Kyle Busch, it doesn't matter if it's a teammate or not, if you give Kyle Busch an inch, he's going to take a mile, and he would have laid the bumper to him. So we might have seen a little more exciting race if Truex did slip up. But like I said, I mean, his road course prowess, like he's the most dominant road course racer right now out of any driver in the field.
All right, well, we have 2 more road courses coming up this season, and they boosted some exciting wins last year, so it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. But let's talk about the road to Homestead. That's really where everybody wants to be at the end of this, is the Championship 4. How much of Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch do we think that we're going to see in victory lane from here until Miami, and do we have them as 2 of our Championship 4?
Hands down, but they have 2 of my 4 picks for the Championship 4. I think they're going to keep winning. There's no stopping them. I mean, we're over halfway through the regular season, almost halfway through the whole season, and they haven't stopped winning and getting those top 5s and those top 10s. So,
do you have more than 2 JGR drivers in there, or just the 2?
I only have 2. You know what? Denny Hamlin, he's impressed me this year. He's done more than I thought he was going to, winning at the 500 and then winning at Texas as well. And he's been fairly consistent, but I just don't think he has the strength that his other 2 teammates have to get in that Championship 4 because we have Team Penske to worry about as well.
You know, I know that this works so much better and it's so much more fun when I get to argue with you, Chase, but I really just cannot argue that point. We are going to see much more of Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch on the road to Homestead. No doubt about that. They've been dominating. They've shown dominating performances along the way. interesting that you said that about Denny Hamlin, because if you technically look at it right now, he's been consistent. He has a better average finish right now than Martin Truex Jr. does, but MTJ has 4 wins. So there is that consistency from Hamlin, but consistency in top 10, top 5 finishes don't matter in the playoffs.
And also, if you look at what Denny Hamlin, I guess, has or has not been able to accomplish in the playoffs, however you want to look at it, he's slipped up when it's time to go for it. And we saw that in 2010 with the battle with him and Jimmy Johnson for the championship. So we've seen this in the past, and that's why I feel like, yeah, he's strong, and you know what, he could surprise me. I hope he does. But right now, I just think those other 2 teammates are just too strong, and I think there's other drivers who are stronger than him right now that play a factor in as well.
All right, another tough question for you guys. At the end of the season, who has more wins, the 18 or the 19?
19. I'm a big Martin.
I'd say hot take on my book.
That's a hot take in my book as well. I think it's really tricky to look at it right now because Kyle Busch kind of he got going early. He really hit his stride early in the season. I look at playoffs like a totally different season. It's a different, yeah, absolutely. It's a whole different world. So I might go with the 18 on that one.
All right. We'll agree to disagree, Jesse.